Welcome to day one here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in May. It's not quite the right direction yet, but it's for the most part been a beautiful day today. Believe it or not, it did actually rain a little bit earlier today. Cloud cover for the most part, but for some reason now that the cars have left the track, it is now sunny here in Indianapolis. GP road course, 10th anniversary of this race. Hard to believe it's been that long, to be honest with you. I mean, it just seems like yesterday that I was here in the fall of 2013 when Graham Rahal and Ryan Briscoe, who was testing for Panther Racing, National Guard sponsorship, and that maybe does make it feel like it was 10 years ago. We're here, and now we're here. In fact, someone brought up to me today a good fact that Indy cars long outlasted Formula One here on the road course, a track that was built for Formula One. But they won't outdo Indy NXT, or what we used to call Indy Lights, because they ran on the Formula One weekend. Pretty cool qualifying today. Obviously a busy day, only a 2-day schedule. For some reason, I used to think that this was a 3-day event, and maybe it was at one point. I think it definitely was for the inaugural event in 2014, but I don't know. I'm not as much of a historian about the GP, if you can't tell. But it was cool. I thought qualifying was great today. It was a lot of fun to see different drivers up at the front. Spoiler alert, Christian Lundgaard is on the pole, and we know he's been so fast here in the past. I'm curious if he's going to be able to pull it off, frankly. And what another point I think that's really interesting is that Rahal, the Rahal Letterman Lanigan team, all of a sudden showing pace. Now I have a theory for that, and part of it is that they hired some new engineering staff this year. Part of that was hiring an engineer from the Red Bull Formula One team. This is, as I mentioned earlier, a Grade 1 Formula One track. So the setup knowledge would make sense, and the fact that they had a great baseline to begin with Christian Lundgaard the first time he was here. I mean, he came out of nowhere. I believe I titled the video, "Who the hell is Christian Lundgaard?" Well, I think there's a pretty good chance that Christian Lundgaard will get his first win tomorrow and perhaps shave that mustache that he's been waiting to shave. Jack Harvey also with a great run. You'll see in the starting grid, he was in the Fast Six. Graham Rahal just missed out on the Fast Six. But the odd thing about the GP versus the Indianapolis 500, and why there's a bit of a, I guess we could say, a cultural clash with the road course versus the oval, is that virtually nothing from the road course is going to translate to the oval. I say virtually nothing because Honda is having some trouble with their engines. And that, I think, is a storyline for the Indianapolis 500 that I think we're really going to have to point at. Now, if we think back to St. Pete, we saw a Chevy engine failure towards the end of the race with Joseph Newgarden. But since then, it has been only Hondas blowing up. We saw Romain Grosjean with a admittedly mileaged out engine lose it in Barber. They put a fresh engine in, and he was super quick against a lot of guys who were trying to mileage out their engines. We go to today. Colton Herta has an issue with his engine. Helio Castroneves has an issue with an engine that was brand new and supposed to be used at both Indy 500 practice and Indy 500 qualifying. So that says to me that the Honda engines, or at least that Honda engine, which was designed for the Indianapolis 500 practice, could have an issue. Here's why that's important. If the situation arises where someone blows a motor in an inopportune situation, read qualifying, we're talking about bump day this year. Remember, 34 cars on the entry list, and the car that everyone says is the easy bump has a Chevrolet in the back of it. This could be extremely exciting and extremely nervous times for anyone with an H on their car. But again, we'll have to see as things play out. It could be a 2017 style race where the Hondas are super fast, but maybe they're not so reliable. But again, that's for another video, another time. Let's take a look at the starting grid for tomorrow's GMR Grand Prix of Indianapolis. And as I mentioned, Christian Lundgaard on the front row, and last year's pole sitter, Felix Rosenqvist, alongside. Alex Palou has been fast the whole day. I almost said all weekend, but there's been only one day of running. Next to Jack Harvey, one of his best qualifying efforts ever. He's good on this track, by the way. He was very close in 2019 to a victory. I think Jack Harvey is one to watch as a dark horse tomorrow. Pato O'Ward in 5th place on the inside of row number 3, alongside Kyle Kirkwood, the Long Beach winner. Marcus Erickson, who you'll hear from later on in this video. If you haven't watched my full extended interview with him, it was fantastic, but there's something specific we touched on in that video that I want to replay for you guys that's relevant to today. Graham Rahal alongside him, the 3rd Rahal Letterman Lanigan driver. Scott Dixon in P9 had a Colton Herta style save in Q2 alongside Alexander Rossi rounding out the top 10. Marcus Armstrong, the strongest rookie, in 11th place alongside Will Power, who at one point was an easy bet to win this race. The Penske's have been off all weekend with Joseph Newgarden in 13th spot. Colton Herta, defending winner of the Indianapolis 500, defending winner of the Indy GP in 14th spot. He's won from there a couple times though, so he's looking to keep that streak going. Devlin DeFrancesco with a pretty decent qualifying effort in 15th alongside of Scotty McLaughlin, the most recent winner in IndyCar at Barber. Rinus VeeKay has won here before. He's looking to find some of that magic in 17th. Romain Grosjean was screaming cuss words at his team with an 18th place starting position. Certainly he was going in really as the weekend favorite. Simon Pagenaud, another driver who has won so many times on this IMS road course, in 19th spot alongside Little Dave. David Malukas in 20th. Connor Daly in 21st alongside of Stingray Robb. 23rd is Benjamin Peterson, who spun and prevented Joseph Newgarden from advancing because he brought out a yellow and Joseph could not complete his lap. Callum Eilot in 24th, and for Juncos Hollinger Racing, not a good qualifying. Augustine Canapino in 25th alongside Elio Castroneves, who, believe it or not, almost got into the Fast 12, but kind of blew his lap right at the end. 26th starting spot for the fresh-engined Castroneves. And in the final position, 27th, Santino Ferrucci for AJ Foyt Racing. So I mentioned Marcus Ericsson, and if you have not seen the extended interview I did with him in the IMS Museum basement, I think you really need to see it, because as a defending Indianapolis 500 winner, I kind of felt that Marcus Ericsson's story has not quite been told. And I presented that opportunity to him and Chip Ganassi Racing, and they thought it was a good idea. And the result, I think, is really good. Unfortunately, my mic failed. And when I say my mic failed, it's me when I'm talking. It doesn't sound all that great, but thankfully, Marcus's mic worked. So Marcus does 95% of the talking, so I don't think it really affects the actual content of what we were trying to get at. And one of the things that I want to show you guys is a special story about Marcus Ericsson's helmet for this weekend. He's been on a bit of a crusade for mental health, which I think we can all really get behind in this country. And he's doing a helmet that he's going to auction for Riley and children's mental health. And this is the story of that helmet he's running tomorrow.
We came up with this idea of making a charity helmet for Riley. And it was actually a friend of mine who came up with the idea to have some kids' paintings and do a design on it. And that's how this came up. So we did this design of four different paintings from 4 different kids. And what's really cool is that month of May is the World Mental Health Awareness Month, where Riley is putting a lot of effort into that. So that's why we said, okay, let's do it for month of May for the Indy GP and put some, use my platform to put some focus on that. And I think it's, first of all, the helmet looks amazing, and I think it's such an important and great cause. And also, I will auction the helmet out after the race, so all the proceeds will go to Riley and their hospital and for Riley kids.
So, GMR Grand Prix tomorrow, 50% chance of thunderstorms, and those are in the morning. It's a 3:30 start, noon. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see if it's going to be a runaway, if there's going to be any kind of strategy in tomorrow's race. Typically at the race distance that the Grand Prix usually is, strategy isn't as much of a factor as I think we'd like it to be. But there's always an untimely yellow which could affect the race and make it a little bit more interesting. And certainly we know rain will definitely make it interesting, if anything, to go off of last year by. So Grand Prix tomorrow. I hope you guys will be there with me. I got to give a shout out. I don't know if it's going to happen, but thanks to IMS Radio, they gave me a voucher for a 2-seater ride tomorrow morning. I'm really hoping there's not lightning in the area because there is a potential it will get rained out. But if that happens, hopefully I'll actually be able to have a GoPro footage of it, because believe it or not, I've done a 2-seater ride before with Mario Andretti around the oval, thanks to the Throckmortons, Bill and Stephanie. But unfortunately, mine just happened to be the only onboard that bricked. So hopefully we'll have some sort of footage if I do get in the 2-seater tomorrow. I'm excited to go around a road course in an Indy car, and I hope I get one with a V8 engine. So thank you guys so much for watching. Prediction for tomorrow: I think Christian Lundgaard's going to shave the mustache. Typically, we see drivers win from the pole here, and he's so good here, and it looks like Rahal's on form. I think it's going to be Christian Lundgaard. Sorry I jinxed you, buddy. We'll see you in the next video.